Hello everyone, this is Juan Bloisi with Washington Interpreters. As interpreters, we're still dealing with the lack of payment from SOSi. So this is an image from an interpreter who reached out to SOSi asking about their payment. SOSi says they're looking to start more frequent payments as they get more familiar with the process, so they say. To which the interpreter says to me, so LNI awarded the contract to a company that wasn't prepared and had no idea about the bill/payment process? Well, that's exactly right. This is an admission from the SOSi company employees who admit they have no idea how this system works. But you see, WFSE leaders knew about these companies' incompetence and how they were not ready to take over the scheduling system. However, WFSE neglected their duty to negotiate the implementation of the SOSi system, which is a change of our working conditions since LNI removed InterpretingWorks. But WFSE, instead of accepting responsibility, the leaders have made a ton of excuses, justifying not doing anything. You see, they wanted to defend SOSi and were unwilling to hold LNI accountable for bringing this company, which was obviously not ready, right? But first, I want to debunk all of these excuses from WFSE, starting with the classic one that they were not able to negotiate a contract or payment timelines because supposedly Washington interpreters delayed everything by protesting the election results twice, right? But the truth is, WFSE leaders delayed everything for interpreters. As you see on the screen, this is the filing from Washington interpreters from November 20th, 2020, when we started the election process. We qualified first and started the election for LNI interpreters, and that was 4 years ago. WFSE only participated in the election because they were only required to submit 10% of signed cards, so they intervened in the election. The Public Employment Relations Commission, or PERC, gave the election the green light to go on May 25th, 2021, when they determined that Washington interpreters submitted more than 30% of signed cards to start the election. You see, WFSE leaders didn't really want the election yet, but because they were not ready to implement their cheating ways, so they questioned the decision from PERC to start the election based on how we qualified with all the cards that we had. However, PERC dismissed their appeal and allowed the election to go ahead anyway. However, WFSE wasn't done, okay? So they took advantage of the fact that Washington interpreters filed an unfair labor practice complaint against LNI for changing our working conditions in the middle of an election process. So they convinced PERC, WFSE did, to stop the election until the complaint was solved. Imagine that. That was on July 1st, 2021. That decision delayed the election for 7 months, extending this process all the way until 2023 last year. That's what happened. So you know the rest of the story. We had 3 elections. WFSE cheated in the first 2 elections. You all saw that. The Public Employment Relations Commission, or PERC, agreed they cheated and ordered a 3rd election. And after that, WFSE was certified as the union for LNI interpreters on September 14th, 2023. That's almost a year ago. Remember this. Now, when they were certified on September 14th last year, the WFSE union still had 2 more weeks, okay, until October 1st, the deadline to submit a budget proposal so they could get new money to fund new benefits for LNI interpreters. But, they decided not to negotiate with LNI, even though they had 2 full weeks, which was plenty of time to do so. That's what they're not telling you, okay? And they're not willing to recognize that. So that's not our fault. That's their fault, and they delayed everything for everyone. Now, the WFSE union has been trying to rewrite history, as you see here, repeating all the stupid same claims. But back then, you see on the screen right now, we created an election timeline on our website, okay? So you can go and check it out for yourself. You can click on the blue click me buttons to see the documents supporting every date that you see here. Now, I will debunk another one of their excuses. As you see here, they're saying that LNI decided to eliminate direct billing for interpreters and that those decisions are supposedly not in the scope of collective bargaining law. So they're saying that the law prohibits them from negotiating with LNI, replacing InterpretingWorks with SOSi, right? Bringing another scheduling system. So they're saying they couldn't do that because the law prohibits them from doing so. Basically, according to them, they don't have the power to negotiate over the distribution of appointments or anything related to the scheduling system, so they even made a presentation to give you tips on how to improve your situation, as you can read there. So the supposed mighty, powerful union, WFSE, is telling you that their hands are tied and that you have to help yourself, and this is how you are going to do it. They're not doing it, you have to do it. You see, but not so fast. What they're not telling you is that back in 2020, they promoted a law that gave the union the power to negotiate over the distribution of appointments and anything related to the scheduling system. And that law was passed and became effective on June 11, 2020, as you can see there. They amended the law to include the right to negotiate over the manner and the rate of payments, including tiered payments, as you see here. And then look at line 22, where it says that other economic matters is included as well. Now, other economic matters means anything related to the distribution of appointments and the scheduling system. If you don't believe me, well, listen to WFSE leaders saying so.
Dennis Eagle, Washington Federation of State Employees, very concisely speaking in support of House Bill 2691. For every union, there is what's called the scope of bargaining. It's a section of statute that lists what you're allowed to discuss at the bargaining table and may also list things that you're not allowed to discuss. What House Bill 2691 does is it puts the language for the scope of bargaining for language access providers on par with family daycare and adult family homes by adding tiered payments, health and welfare benefits, and other economic matters to the topics that they're allowed to discuss at the bargaining table. As you've heard, the distribution of appointments, for example, can be a total bread or butter issue for a language access provider. How many appointments you're able to get depends on how much money you make. So being able to discuss the manner and distribution of appointments is a huge economic matter that doesn't fall under their current scope.
What we are looking at is how do we make sure that independent contractors, interpreters that provide professional services have ability to make sure economic matters means the things that around scheduling, around making sure that that we have good coverage across our state and our rural communities.
This bill will allow us interpreters to talk with the state about things that affect our lives and the well-being of our patients that we serve. For example, this bill will allow us to negotiate about job distribution. Our working conditions are mostly about the website where we get our jobs. Right now, we don't have a say about it. Dealing with this website is frustrating and makes us waste time, and it doesn't have all the information that we require. Also, we want a separation, a clear separation between state jobs and the private jobs of the managing company. I don't want to see those jobs. So in short, when we want improvements to that website, we are just ignored. We want to be able to talk about that.
You just saw WFSE leaders asking the legislature to pass that bill, okay? Giving them the right to negotiate over the distribution of appointments and anything related to the scheduling system, payments, and also direct billing. This law made the scheduling system and the distribution of jobs a mandatory subject of bargaining. But not only that, the Public Employment Relations Commission on this image here, as you can see, already addressed how employers cannot unilaterally change working conditions without notifying the corresponding union. The second paragraph states that an employer considering changes affecting a mandatory subject of bargaining must give notice to the exclusive bargaining representative of its employees before making the decision. Well, who's now the exclusive bargaining representative for LNI interpreters? Unfortunately, WFSE is. Yes, this decision from PERC, though, says that LNI had to notify WFSE, which has been the union since September 14th, about how they wanted to replace InterpretingWorks with SOSi, and that they had an obligation to negotiate over this. So there is no way to escape this. They had to negotiate. The second paragraph, though, keeps saying that notice must be given sufficiently in advance of the actual implementation of a change to allow, listen to this, a reasonable opportunity for bargaining or negotiating between the parties. Guys, this is plain English, okay? This is not complicated here. This is pretty clear. Do you know what this is telling you, actually? LNI notified WFSE that they planned to replace InterpretingWorks, but WFSE refused to negotiate that change, okay? This is not about WFSE not having a budget or new money to ask for things for interpreters, for new benefits. This is nothing to do about that. LNI decided to pay for a new company regardless of whether or not they had a new budget, right? They didn't care. So the last that WFSE could do was to sit at the table and negotiate with LNI because they were obligated to do so. Okay, but they refused to do it. Why? Because they wanted InterpretingWorks gone and SOSi in. Now, I want you to ask yourselves this question. Why would WFSE leaders want InterpretingWorks gone? Why would they want SOSi, a new company with no idea how to run a scheduling system, to come in and upset the working conditions of all interpreters? Click on the link in the description below to opt out of WFSE right now. See you in the next one.